And we are back. We are going to go now to line number 8 and say a very good morning here to the member of the House of Assembly for Mount Pearl North, Steve Kent. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Randy.
My producer has a message for you. He's sorry.
Oh, no problem. I've been waiting patiently to talk to you for quite some time.
Apparently you had to wait a while this morning, and he's doing the dance out there today. I don't know how Pat got any hair left, but he's trying.
Well, Randy,
and he apologizes. So there you go.
Everyone in town wants to talk to you. Apparently, you should run for office or something.
You know what? Ask me that at about August of 2013.
Well,
I'll make my announcement now. What do you think?
Just as well.
I want to be the mayor of Mount Pearl. I wonder if people would let me do that now.
It is one of the best political jobs in this province.
And you know it, brother.
I absolutely do. But I'm having a great time as MHA for Mount Pearl North, Randy, which is why I wanted to call you this morning.
Well, you're having a fun week this week, I think.
It's been a fantastic week. It's been a great 4 years, but a lot of the work that I've been doing with my fellow MHAs and ministers in our government and Premier Dunderdale, it's really come to fruition in recent weeks, and we've made a few big announcements that will benefit the residents of my district that I'd like to mention this morning.
It's a little embarrassing?
A little embarrassing?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, because everybody's kind of chuckling at the Premier and that saying that this is not politics, all of these announcements. And,
well,
I mean the editorial in the Telegram today, as they say, strips away all the emperor's clothing, if you know what I mean.
Randy, we've been making positive announcements over the last 4 years, and most of from what I can tell, everything that was announced that affects my district was in the budget that we unveiled in April. So there shouldn't be any big surprises. And I find it funny. I understand Marshall Dean was on your program yesterday, and he was talking about how there are higher priorities than these things that are absolutely the number one priorities of the communities I represent. But I didn't hear him complaining back on July 26th when we announced improvements for road infrastructure on the Northern Peninsula. I didn't hear him complaining on July 20th when we announced $4 million for municipal infrastructure projects to benefit the Northern Peninsula. I didn't hear him complaining back on July 29th when we announced over $1 million of investments to support Northern Peninsula commercial harvesters in the forestry industry. So, it's a bit of a double standard that's being applied. The bottom line is there's a lot of work that this government has done. The work was outlined in the budget, and we're working hard to get those announcements out. And yes, there's been a flurry of activity in recent weeks, and
let's be honest, there's politics behind it.
But Randy, these projects, for instance, the $21 million arena project for the town of Paradise, which we've been working on for the past 4 years,
desperately needed.
It shouldn't be a big shock to people. We've been working actively with the town council,
but
here's groups.
Yeah, here's the concern, Steve. At least in my view, and I know others may not share my view, and that's fine. I accept that. I have no problem with this, by the way. Good money is good money, and good projects are good projects. I don't care when they're built. My concern is this, and I'll say it to you because you and I have worked together in the past, so you'll know this is not me being false. My concern with these announcements coming as they have come in the last week, and come on, 43 in 1 week when every other year there's 7. Come on. My concern with it is, were these things held, Steve? Could this announcement of an arena for Paradise and Conception Bay South and minor hockey, which is in such a struggle there, could some of this been alleviated? Some of these issues and some of these pressures been alleviated? Could this work already be started, but that somebody in the back of their mind somewhere said, you know what, let's hang on to that. This will really be good in August. That's my biggest
Randy,
concern.
Absolutely not. I can tell you with confidence and in all honesty that as an MHA who's been working on these files, that there's been nothing held. And let me just give you an example. We announced a $3 million project to clean up the former steel mill site in the town of Paradise this week, which is going to allow us to do more work on the recreational plan for that community, which is great news for residents. We've been working on that for several years, and there's multiple funding partners involved. So we had to go through a process not only provincially, but we had to work with our federal counterparts to get the approvals in place and to secure funding on that level. As you well know, those things take time, and the moment that we were ready, that we had sign off and we were ready to move forward, then there was an announcement. So I think it's unfair to suggest that we've been holding things up. And
I'm not suggesting it. I'm not suggesting that you have. My concern with the way fixed election dates influence the politics in the community, one of the fears that at the time it was all brought in and we were debating fixed election dates that I never ever considered, but now with this reality seems to come full circle to be looked at, is this issue of, my God, would we hold off making an announcement for the political benefit of it?
Well, we're just under a few weeks away from the writ being dropped. The Premier has been clear that unless something extraordinary comes up, there won't be further funding announcements. There are pros and cons to fixed election dates, as you point out. And the problem is, as an election approaches, when you know there's an election approaching, whatever you do, that's good news is going to be, the naysayers are going to suggest that it's simply for political gain.
Yeah, and you're getting that no matter what. That doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
We know that.
If you look at our record, and I'll certainly stand on mine, over the 4 years, I'm not just talking about the last week. Over the last 4 years, there has been more money invested in the town of Paradise and the city of Mount Pearl than any other 4-year period in our history. So I'll stand on our record of what we've done in districts across the province over the last 4 years. And I certainly don't apologize for bringing the good news over the past week related to
I guess here's
here's
the challenge. Here's
infrastructure.
Yeah, here's the challenge on the political level, and then we got to end. Comes down to this: if you say to me, and the Premier says to me, right, or to whoever, well, you shouldn't be surprised that this was all in the budget. Well, from April when the budget came down to now, nobody ever said those arenas were in the budget. Nobody ever said, look, there's $152 million in municipal funding, and I can assure you those 2 arenas are in there. Nobody said that in April or in May or in July.
Randy, every year when a budget comes out, there are certain things that are explicit in the budget document, where there are certain projects that are announced during the time of the budget release, and there are other envelopes of money where it's not specified which particular projects are going to be funded as a result of the budget.
Right.
On the federal, provincial, municipal cost-shared projects, there's also a fairly elaborate and extensive approval process that's required. So in some cases, until we obtained the federal support needed, then some of these projects couldn't have been announced in April.
So these arenas and that have federal money in them?
The arena project in particular is a provincial municipal project, but the announcement related to the steel mill site, for instance, is a federal, provincial, municipal cost-shared project, as is the convention center project and a number of others that have been announced recently.
Yeah. Anyway, it don't matter when it comes, Steve. I understand and appreciate this. You got it. And God knows the people of Paradise and CBS desperately need this in their community. And, hats off to everybody on that level. But let's be honest, the politics of it is out there.
Well, Randy, final comment, because I know we have to go.
Oh, and you're way over time. I'm going to be shot.
Yes, we announced the arena this week, but in the past 4 years, we've announced improvements to the Paradise Town Hall, a new community center, a new swimming pool for the city of Mount Pearl, a second ice rink at the glacier for the city of Mount Pearl. Our record over the last 4 years speaks for itself.
Steve Kent, the Honourable Member for Mount Pearl North. It is good to speak with you today, buddy. Thanks.
You too. Thanks for the time.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for the time. I'm going to be shot. We're going to go to break. Yeah, and Megan is the one loading the gun. We're going to be back.